What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome. Appreciate you clicking into the video. Today, we're just talking about getting X-Plane 11 started. Many people been sending me messages with crash desktops as X-Plane 11.5.3 or running Vulkan and running different things. And so, with that, today we're just going to talk about a few things to be cognizant of when trying to fire up X-Plane 11. First thing, we'll jump straight into it and talk about the SAM scenery suite folder. And so with that, what we'll do is we'll minimize that screen there. We'll start to fire up X-Plane and we'll talk about it. And so, uh, first things first is making sure everything is updated. Orbex Central, if you run SAM sceneries through Orbex, such as Lowy or any of those airports that require a heavy SAM presence, make sure that SAM is updated through that mechanism also. You would double click in and sign in to Orbex. You would click the top right settings. You would go check for updates, and there you have it. You would set things up from there. You also want to make sure your NVIDIA. We're running a 9600K, 3.6 gigahertz processor here, and I think we have 2070 GPU that will have 6 or 8, I think 8 gigabytes of VRAM there. We're running 32 gigabytes of memory, 2 terabytes of storage, and we'll take a look once again at some of those things today as we walk through it here. So, uh, with that said, let's go ahead and start the process, and you guys will see exactly what I'm talking about with this. First things first, we'll just try and fire up X-Plane 11. Once again, this is 11.5.3, release candidate 1, as you can see on the screen here. If you learned something today, do us a favor and tap the like button. Also, engage the subscribe button. We try to fly at least 3 times a week, and it'll be our pleasure to have you on board. So, there's something that's very important to talk about right now, and that I guess could be the first huge point to make is that if you do, in fact, have SAM Suite, um, oftentimes it may run a duplicate, and we'll talk about where to check that in the custom scenery folder also here in a second. Um, but having SAM also, as you can see, X-Plane 11 has crashed on the startup. You've seen it here first. So, something that's important to mention that I wanted to talk about is if you do not, uh, if you're coming off a fresh reboot to the PC, or your PC is not fresh since the last time that you ran X-Plane 11. So, for the purpose of this video, it was not a fresh reboot. We just tried to fire up X-Plane 11 again after having fired it up before and did not restart the PC. All right, if you restart the PC, doing what we just did may work for you. All right, and so it didn't work that time, so this time we'll fire up SAM Suite. There's SAM Suite first. And first, before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the log text file. And that should be in the main X-Plane uh, folder. All right, so here we want to search for anything that could have caused it. And so what we'll do is we'll go Control F and we'll see if there was anything referencing SAM that caused it to crash. Okay, everything else was in. It's pretty much at the top. So typically, sometimes you can check the log text file for anything that would appear to be a box. It will be displayed as a box, and within that box, you'll see what airport you were at or in the region of that didn't have something that was integral to explain running, basically saying that the computer's coding were searching for that file and couldn't find it, and therefore decided to close applications due to that file being missing. And so oftentimes it's about where you are geographically and the files or folders that you have in reference or don't have to that area. And here we see nothing that is pretty much out of normal. Everything that's loaded would be necessarily here, and we didn't see the box that I just mentioned. So once again, we've started SAM Suite. That's in front of us. And the next thing that we'll go ahead and do again, because we are not off, fresh reboot to the PC, and we'll decide to run Explain 11 from SAM. And so oftentimes, to be honest, it is about, choosing, deciding whether you have a fresh reboot to the PC and starting to explain from that way. And if not, being prepared to go through these channels if you're not one to start the PC. I'm not one to start the PC a lot. I'll leave the PC running oftentimes, and so knowing that, I'll come back to the PC sort of prepared for what I need to do to get Explain 11 running. And again, we'll drop a video here soon talking about Microsoft Flight Simulator and some of the pitfalls and file organization things to look out for in the community folder as well. Once again, if you learn something here or like what you see, leave us a like, leave us a subscribe. It'll be greatly appreciated as we on our goal to 750 subscribers on the channel. One of the other things I want to talk about real briefly here is your plugin folder. And so we'll pull up Explain 11, and here's everything that we have. And before we talk about the plugins, let's talk about SAM again. So let's move this guy to the side, and we'll also move this guy over. We'll pull up SAM. So making sure everything is installed. So here's the part that I want to go back on. If you've made sure that the SAM base plugin is installed, and let's just say this was red right now, and so I come into it and I wanted to make sure that we've updated this actual thing, so I would click it. It updates naturally, right? And from there, what you want to do is you want to pull up that custom scenery folder wherever it is, Explain 11 custom scenery file folder. And you should only have, when you're running the shortcut, if you are running SAM like this into Explain 11, you only want to have 5 or however many of these folders that you have installed as shortcuts into your custom scenery folder. All right. Now, another thing, let's just go ahead and talk about it since we're here, is the actual, I talk to a lot of folks about this, and that's making sure that when you install a new scenery, let's just take Boston, for example. I can't think of another one offhand that would have come differently. However, the point is that when you download a new scenery, it's always imperative to click into that scenery and make sure that you actually see the contents that make up what that region would be. So we've tested a city, that's fine. We'll look into world models, and there's our world models, right? Oftentimes you may have a city. Let's just take Bristol Airport, and it may say Echo Golf Golf David right here as well instead of these folders. Then you want to actually take that folder and install it into your custom scenery folder. Make sure that you've gotten to the bottom of, the file organization and grabbing the main folder that you need. The same thing would apply. Here's vertical sim scenery. The same thing would apply here. And so making sure that you do that is very important. And the last thing that we'll do is also go through the INI file. So as we can see, Sam always should be on top. This is Sam from Orbex scenery that injected into the custom scenery folder. From my knowledge, we talk about payware airports being on top, with Orbex coming next. All right. And this is again on the X-Plains website. This is videos that X-Plain Laminar Research puts out that talks about the organization as well. And we sort of followed a prompt of that and tested quite a few things, and things were working well. So we follow it with continued payware airports. All of these will be the payware airports represented by us that we've either bought over time or won through giveaways or just acquired. Followed by freeware airports, the lower that we would get. All right. And if we come on down, we'll take a look at combined scenery. And so what I mean combined is it's payware sceneries, most of these here, but they come in a way where they have to be in a certain place in the file organization. And so if you look closely here, that will be all of them in a certain way in a certain row. You can see, let's find a good example. Salt Lake City is a good example. So we'll see AutoGen, the exclude folder, and the photo on top. And all of these folders, Richmond follows the same. Indianapolis follows the same organization, and so does Charlotte. We'll get down to city sceneries. All right. So underneath that is our global airports in between it. All right. And then we have city scenery. So the next big thing outside of airports will be what that city scenery is, followed by, which could be anywhere, the library folders. All right. All of our libraries, fruit stand, all the necessary things that would be in your log text file if you don't have them, because many airports require that you have many of those libraries. And if you don't, it could cause X-Plane 11 to crash. Oftentimes, it would tell you what it needs. You would go do a simple Google search for that library and download it and insert it into your custom scenery folder. All right, if we continue on, we'll take a look at what so underneath our libraries, we would come into the default landmarks provided by Laminar in X-Plane 11. And so those fall underneath and over Orbex sceneries. All right. And when I say Orbex sceneries, these are Southern Cal customs overlays, which is why it falls here in the listing. We'll end it there with Orbex's library file folder and the demo areas. Next will be the roads. All right. we come down and Sim Heaven is also featured here in our listing, and so Sim Heaven would be immediately over the overlays for everywhere. Now, these are the overlays that we have that are custom, and then there's Ortho for XP overlays, followed by all of the ortho files that we have. We'll scroll all the way to the bottom quite a lot, and what we'll see here is actual ortho photos mesh terrain for everywhere. And there's 0 spaces in between this file organization. There's 1 space at the end. There's 1 space at the top. Is how that goes. All right, so that's the INI file. Hopefully that helped you out. We'll go ahead and minimize that screen. So we've pulled up X-Plane 11. One of the things that we also said we wanted to do, let me go back, is look at our plugins and resources, get us there, plugins. All right, so here you want to make sure everything in the file organization is clean. And when we mean clean, making sure once again that when we click into a folder, that it's actually the contents that make up that folder. All right, your Avi tab, things are clean. There isn't old things that's left in the folder. We'll get down to SAM. We can see sort of that same organization. It's fine if documents are in there, but you don't want to have those in the actual folder. And while I say that, there is one go back to custom scenery. Oftentimes, when you download a Drusweski design, they'll often import a folder that looks just like this, but it'll say Seattle Documents. And what that means is, excuse me, and what that means is the entire file is made up of documents. And so what I do is delete that file that says whatever that area is in documents, being all PDFs, in a custom scenery file folder. Could be harmless, totally innocuous, but Chief just go ahead and deletes it anyway. It just works out better for the organization flow of X-Plane 11 and its loading processes. All right, so we'll go ahead and take a step back. Resources, plugins, and we'll take a look at the folder organization here. So many times we also talk about Lua. Flying with Lua can also, so we don't have many of the, and I didn't know that I had better nights still, but we didn't have many of the scripts that we had previously as far as, FPS scripts that help keep the FPS rates, in good stead. We deleted sort of all those things, and what you see in here is just the landing right now. There was a previous to XP Realistic updating to Volume 2, there was a Lua script for one, and that was in there. Documentation here is fine, being all documents, because that's what the folder is made for and to do. There's our Skunk Crafts updater, ground handling, etc. And you can kind of see it all here. SciTech for the panels and the things that we have that we use. And we can talk about in a more in-depth video, sort of round 2 at this, is when files from certain places are missing and you need to do a reinstall of X-Plane 11 or update it, not reinstall. You need to update it and it will automatically insert some of these files and folders that you see here. All right, so there's our full suite tow list. There's the full suite of all the plugins that we use. Um, there's custom data, right? After you download new Navigraph, that you would insert those charts. Now, there's something important here as well, in making sure that there's one file that comes in the uh, organization mixed with a bunch of different numbers and symbols that does not need to be in this folder. And so when you download Navigraph, I would highlight all those folders except for that one, and that's what you drag into your custom data folder. It's been known to cause issues as well. All right. All right. So we've gone through, we've talked about, we've seen a crash or two. X-Plane 11 is here. It's loaded from this screen. And we'll just go ahead and look at loading it up. So we'll load into any airport. That's fine. All right, we'll go ahead and load in. And once again, from here, uh, X-Plane 11 pretty much will load up for us with no problems. What I do, since we're running so much SAM, is I'll choose, if you can see the bottom of my screen here, I'll choose to close SAM, knowing that X-Plane 11 is loading. You oftentimes, when X-Plane 11 gets to this point, you don't want to click anything or engage this screen at all. We work with two monitors, and so we're able to switch to the left and click on a button. But typically, you don't want to click a thing while it's loading. Now, fun fact, guys and gals, I've been, as a researcher, made aware that if you have rudder pedals and you engage the left and the right, rather toe brakes or pushing the rudders, it's been known to speed the process of the load time for X-Plane 11. So try it. Let me know in the comments if it works for you. It's probably down to a system type of thing, and so I'd be interested to know if that works for you guys or not. And we're pretty much ending the rest of the video. Chiefs and Pilot appreciates each and every last one of you for clicking in. And once again, our hope is that you learned something. You're able to walk away with an improved system, smooth system that allows you to enjoy the amenities of the virtual skies through X-Plane 11. As I and my friends are able to do on a consistent basis. And so we just look to share that, help a lot of you out that may be having a lot of those issues. You want to make sure that any airplanes that you have in the sim are updated. You want to also make sure that your, once again, GPU or whatever graphics card that you're using is also updated. From here, once again, X-Plane 11 will pretty much load. It's always pretty fast for us. We're looking probably 60 seconds maybe. Yeah. Any questions that you guys have for us, be sure to follow up in the Discord as well as in the comment section below. And there we go. Just that quick. There's X-Plane 11. There's the newest Magnite update that we've been flying so much lately. And we will go ahead and take you outside that aircraft. All right. And here we are. if we take a look at what our FPS is at the moment, we have 20, and I would presume that that would increase as the moment that we start to move, actually. And depending upon the aircraft that you're in, all those different kind of things can be a variance to it. But yeah, so there we are. In the actual aircraft, X-Plane 11 has loaded up. There was a few things that we needed to check for, and there you have it. So once again, dialing back just to go over a few things, you want to make sure that in the X-Plane 11 settings, you want to make sure that in the actual X-Plane 11 settings that that everything is updated. That if you're able to try and find the log text file, that there it will be in the main folder organization. You want to make sure that SAM scenery doesn't duplicate 2 copies of whatever it is that you have downloaded. And once again, you all, Chief Sim Pilot truly, truly, truly appreciates you all for clicking into the video. X-Plane 11 can be a lot of fun flying. I look forward to seeing you all, hearing you all in the skies on the VOTSIM network. And I appreciate you all, so let's get it. Stay safe, everybody. Until next time, the one and only, baby. Signing off. Chief Sim Pilot.